You are listening to Everything Emersons, a community podcast brought to you by Emersons Green Village Hall. We are sponsored by Emersons Green Town Council and produced by Project Sandbox from Inclusive Change at Work. Hello, I'm Tom and I'm here with Jazz from Everything Emersons. Hello, Jazz. Today we're here talking to James Hunt, the Mayor of Emersons Green. Hello, James.
Hello.
So, what does the Mayor of Emersons Green actually do, and sort of why did you want to take on this role?
So the mayor is an elected position. So each person in Emerson's Green elects the councillors for the next 4 years, and then within the council they elect who they would like to lead them as the mayor. The mayor really has two kind of roles. One is ceremonial, so opening kind of parks and local events, and the other one is about administrating and running kind of the council. So I look after meetings, I chair the meetings, I meet regularly with the clerk and then the employees at the council to make sure that it's running properly and properly administered, and all the objectives of the council are being properly carried out.
Thank you.
So our next sort of questions are kind of around like young people within Emerson's Greens. There's kind of two questions here. So do you think that young people know kind of enough about what you do and how these local decisions are made? And then also with this, how within your job, do you think that young people can get involved? I asked the question wrong, but how can young people get more involved in what happens in Emerson's Green?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, no, I don't think many people necessarily know, young or adult, what the town council does for them, what the mayor does, or how they can get involved. So I think not only young people, but I think everybody, it would be better to understand how their tax funds are being administered, about how they can get involved, how they can help, making sure that the decisions that are taken reflect their best interests. So I'd encourage everybody, young and old, to find out more, get more involved, and take an interest. From a youth perspective, I think there's definitely a gap where people are not necessarily taught enough about kind of democracy and how their voice actually matters and how they can take that forward and how they can influence their local area. So I would definitely say from a youth perspective, get involved by taking an interest, coming along. All meetings are public meetings, so it's open to everyone. Anybody can talk and raise any subject that's interesting to them at any of the local government meetings, whether that be at the town council level or the unitary level, which is South Gloucestershire in this area, and just raise basically the things that are interesting to them, because the more you do that, the more you get your voice out there, the more people are listening, and people generally want to listen as well. You know, people are not doing it for the sake of doing it. They're doing it to be represented. They're doing it to try and help the local community. It's being a councillor at a town council level is purely voluntary. You do it alongside other jobs. It's something that you do purely just to help the local community. So yeah, you don't find people there who are interested in doing it for any other reason than just trying to give back.
So how would people find this information about the roles and what's going on, like the meetings or what they're, as you said, the tax funds are going to? How do we find out this information?
Yeah, so everything is published online. So on our website, so emersonsgreen-tc towncouncil.gov.uk, you can find out all the minutes of every meeting that's carried out, every decision, all the meetings that are coming up and going along, all the contact details of each individual councillor, and also the clerk. So we're held to a very high standard, which we should be as well, around transparency, making sure every decision that's taken, everything that goes on, is incredibly transparent, open, and accountable. So yeah, you can find everything out there. We've also got notice boards several places across Emerson's Green, where minutes and upcoming meetings and various different events and that are taking place. And we also have consultations quite often as well, which come through the door, or you'll find through social media, which are asking about specific topics and getting feedback on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. So a big part of our podcast is the topic of neurodiversity. So what is your experience or understanding of neurodiversity, and how do you think local leadership can be more inclusive of neurodivergent people?
Yeah, big question. So I'm neurodiverse myself.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed at the age of 5 with what then became known as ADHD.
Yeah.
So I've kind of gone through that, my life knowing that I have had this difference and everything, even before it was not really well understood. I think neurodiversity is one of those subjects that people are only really starting to get a handle on now, and quite often there's prejudice in lots of areas around the understanding of it, around actually kind of, why don't you just go and do this? Why don't you just do it in this way, in a normal way? Whereas actually you're not better or worse than anyone else. You just do things differently.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the best analogies I think that I've come across is with left-handed people. And I'm sure this is well known, but 100 years ago, left-handed people really struggled. There was hardly any statistics around it, and it almost didn't exist. And then pretty much as soon as it was understood and accommodations were made for those people, it became so much easier. And they could write with their left hand at school. They could have tools like scissors and that sort of specifically set up for them. And all of a sudden, the true nature of what it was and how it impacted society kind of came out. And actually, if you look at the charts of neurodiversity now, versus kind of how people self-declared themselves as left-handed 100 years ago, it's very, very similar. So I think it's also one of those things, because it's neuro, people don't see it. So because they don't see it, they don't think that there's anything different. They think that you should behave in a certain way. They think you should conform to a certain thing, and that is very difficult, especially for people who are neurodiverse. um, there's some things that I can do very well, but then other things I can do very poorly, and it's kind of understanding that I can't be strong in every area, but some things I can be strong in, and part of it for me is understanding that for myself as well. Understanding and kind of forgiving yourself that you can't do all of those things. That was a big part of my journey. So when it comes to kind of local government, I think actually local government is very inclusive generally about who it brings on into local government. All accommodations have to be made for anybody with any sort of disability, neurodiversity, or any sort of personal circumstances. So, for instance, if somebody couldn't read, we would have to make accommodations if they're an elected official, to make sure that they could properly participate and take into account their opinions and everything in the decision-making process. I think where local government falls down is the focus that it puts on supporting the community and neurodiverse people within the community, and how it can make the wider community more inclusive. I think one of the issues more generally, like with democracy, if you like, is that it's the majority that get elected, and often kind of the smaller voices can get drowned out. And I think it's important for everybody who's an elected person to understand that you're there representing everyone, and inclusivity, whether that be around disabilities, neurodiversity, or any other protected characteristic, or income, or anything else, that it's our job to make sure that we have as equal and as fair a society as we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yes. Yes. Are there any sort of projects or plans that are coming up you're excited about, and sort of some of your main goals in your role as mayor next year?
Yeah, so I've been on the town council for just over 20 years. I've been mayor for the last 2.5 years. The 2.5 years that I've been mayor, I think we had quite a challenge in responding to the changes that came with COVID. So a lot happened there, and I think we had to look at ourselves a lot about kind of what we were as a town council and how we were going to respond to that, to the upcoming challenges. We were quite a small town council from a staff perspective. We only had one person full time, a couple of people part time, 2.5 years ago. Really, the decision that we made was people are paying for this, so is it worth paying £1 a month or £1 a week for a council which is not really doing anything and just there for administrative purposes, or is it better to make the decision that people pay £2 a week for a council which can really make an impact and a difference? And that's what we've decided to do. So we did increase council tax over the last couple of years, but we are doing an awful lot with it, and we're trying to make as big an impact as possible. We now have full-time caretakers, which go round and make sure that the area is as attractive as possible, and flowers and everything like that are there, which really kind of enhances the local area. We have just brought in a youth officer who I think you've also
Yes, we interviewed that, yeah.
who's absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure he's gone into lots of detail about the plans that he's got and the mobile youth centre that we're looking to bring in, and so that for me I think is manifestation of the change that we've seen over the last few years, and I'm really keen to see more of that being embedded. I think we've got a really good base now of the team and the staff, and being able to really sort of see the fruits of that in things like the mobile youth centre. On top of that, I would really like to see something along the lines of the youth council. So this is something talked about for years, but now actually with a dedicated youth officer, it'd be fantastic if we could actually bring that forward. And that means that the council would be able to devolve to a youth council a certain amount of money each year, and that be made up of people who are under 18, and they can decide exactly how they would like to spend their budget, how they would like to get involved, and how they would like to shape the local area. I think that would be fantastic, just to try and help people and young people understand about democracy and how they could take that further on into their lives, into maybe sort of national politics or further local politics. But also hopefully it means that we'd be more representative in the decisions that we make, affecting young people in the best possible way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's
Yes, I think that's all our questions that we wanted to ask you. Thank you very much.
unless you have anything else.
No, yes. Anything else you'd like to add to?
No, nothing from my side. No.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Been a pleasure.
Lovely stuff.
Yes, thank you. It's been really interesting finding out that, and thanks for sharing ways people can find out more about your role and the council's roles. Thank you.
Thank you, listening to Everything Emersons.
Thank you for listening to Everything Emersons from Emersons Green Village Hall, sponsored and supported by Emersons Green Town Council.
Do you want to create a more inclusive digital world? Project Sandbox from Inclusive Change at Work is a groundbreaking podcast training program for young people. They learn digital skills, build confidence, and tackle online safety through lived experience. Sponsor an episode and be part of real change. Visit icall-cic.com/sandbox to get involved.